What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another video on the channel. We're still working away on this 93 GT, trying to get the back side of the doors painted. That way we can flip them over, get the front side of the doors painted, and get the doors put on the car. But for right now, what we're actually doing is, like I said, we're trying to get the back of these doors painted. Luckily, when I bought the car, there was a new door hinge bushing kit, repair kit in the back seat. If you guys remember that. So I figured, you know what, we're here anyway. The lower door hinge had a little bit of play in it. Let's go ahead and replace them. So I said, oh, I might as well pick up the camera too and kind of show you guys what I'm working with. So let's just get into it. All right, so this is the door that I already did. These are the door hinge bushing repair kits that you're going to find at most Mustang warehouses. Now, I will say my dad's already done a video on this, so I'm not going to go into too much detail, but these bushings that they supply with these kits, they don't have splines in them, so they can kind of move freely, and that's where you begin to get a lot of the play in the bushing, is because that bushing isn't really set in there. It's not tight. I mean, these bushings are tight, but over time they will wear out, and that's what causes all that play. But so this is the lower. You can see there's really, I mean, there's hardly any play in that at all, and that one had a ton. I was kind of worried that this kit wouldn't be sufficient enough, because most times when you have a lot of play in the lowers or uppers, doesn't really matter, these holes in here get wallowed out, and you need to have oversized bushings put in them. Luckily, this bushing was just tight enough to where it's tight enough to put back on the car, and I'm happy enough with it. But anyway, this is a door we're working on now. This is passenger side door. This upper one is not bad. This is about, you can kind of see a little bit of movement in there. This lower one, like I said, the lowers is what you're going to have most of your play in. You can see that back bushing right there. It's got a lot. You know, that's definitely, when you open up your door, you're definitely going to be able to move it around. You don't want that, especially on a brand new paint job. So I figured, you know what, while we're in here, we'll go ahead and get this done. So there's a bunch of different ways that you can kind of do this. Everybody has their own different method. The way that I like to use is I'll come in here and I'll grind this head off with my 36 grit disc on like a 90-degree angle grinder, and then grind. You don't have to grind the top one off, because once you grind this one off, I just hit it with a center punch, knock that out, and then you can kind of get on the side of this and pry it out. And then same thing with this one. Now you're only going to get probably about halfway. Once you get about halfway, I take my little cutoff wheel and just cut this pin in half, and then you can slide the rest of it out, and then this comes off. But I'll get working on this and kind of catch you guys back up once I get to that point. All right, y'all, sorry about the noise, but you can see I've grinded that head off of there now, and you can see the outline of the pin on both of these. So now what I'll do is I'll take my center punch, I'll just knock this about halfway out, cut this sleeve in half, slide the rest of it out. Now, if you're kind of doing this in the car, it would really be impossible to grind that off, I think. If you're in the car, find a way to cut this pin in half, and then slide half out, and then you can pull it off. These are obviously factory bushings. Sometimes you guys are going to have replacement bushings that have been done already. They're a lot easier because they usually have a pin that you can pull out, and then you can just slide the sleeve all the way out. So let's get this done. All right, you guys. So like I said, it'll expose that, basically the head of it, and then you just take your center punch. Here's mine right here. I got my little 4-pound sledge, best friend right there. So I got a decent sized center punch here. Kind of put it in the hole there and just give it some good whacks until you can get it. Well, it's kind of hard to get it all the way to this point, but basically what you're going to want to do is get it far enough pushed out to where you can slide like a little pry tool in there. And then what I do is I just hammer that pry tool in between this head and the actual door hinge itself until I can knock that out, and then I'll push it out further with that. Once you get to this point, then you can kind of cut this in half and slide the rest of it back in. It'll fall out, and then you can pull this hinge off. So I'm going to do that now. All right, so once you've got, here's the rest of that pin I was telling you guys about, but cut the head off of it, and then once the head is off, you kind of have it like this pointing out. Then you can just knock this back in, pull the hinge off, and then this will fall out. So once you've gotten to that point, these can kind of be a pain in the butt to get out. What I like to do is still use this center punch tool, kind of set it inside that bushing. Sorry, I know this sun is not working well with this. Let me try this slide. So set it in that bushing and then just give it a couple of good whacks. You should be able to move it enough to where you can kind of pry on it from this side if you can't get it all the way out. But that seems to work pretty good on these. Once I get those out, I'll pick up the phone and show you guys the new pin kit, and we'll put this all back together. All right, y'all. So we got both of these factory bushings knocked out. Like I said, they just kind of sit in there like that. They come out pretty easy with that method that I showed you guys with the pin. Just kind of set it in there, knock it out. What I like to do is get it far enough out to where I can put my screwdriver in there on the back side, kind of about right there, and then hit it the rest of the way out, and they pretty much knock right out. Now, I will say the bushing design is the exact same as factory. However, we're doing this because there's a problem with factory stuff. So the bushings that you can actually get from like AutoZone and O'Reilly, they sell a oversized bushing kit. They have actual splines on them, similar to like an axle stud. Those are going to be a lot better than this in the long run, but since we got these with the car, they're free, we're going to use them. But if you guys are actually going out to purchase a door hinge bushing kit, I recommend getting that kit instead. Like I said, this is the new bushing kit. We're going to be painting all of this together. It would be wise to kind of scuff this up before you put it all in there, because it is hard to get up in there once everything's installed. But from there, we're going to take this pin off. You're going to install both of these bushings, same as factory. So one in the top, one through the bottom. And then once you get that done there, you're going to line up your hinge and then just slide your pin through and put the clip on it. Pretty self-explanatory. Only thing, really you're only going to get this pin to go on one way. So this pin slides in through the bottom, and then the bottom one slides in through the top. That way, if you have to do this in the future, you can pull them out, or whoever's doing it. But that's pretty much the gist of it, guys. It's really not too bad. Once I get everything installed, I'll pick the camera back up and show you guys what it looks like. Alright, so once you guys have your new bushings installed, I'll kind of run over how I do that, because that can be, you don't want to mess these up putting them in. So basically what I do is I'll put the bushing over top of that, and then I'll kind of give it a couple little light taps to line it up. And then what I do, since I won't ruin my center punch, so I've got this guy too, I'll put this on the head of that and just hit the end of it with my hammer, just very lightly until it all taps in. But you guys can see they're fully seated and it doesn't mess up the bushing. You want to be very careful not to mess up that bushing, because that's, if you do, then you got to order another kit, but or at least go get new bushings. But so now you're going to kind of line this up, and if you see it's not really a tight fit. There's a couple different ways you can tighten this up. If you have a big vise, you could probably put this in the vise and just tighten it up a little bit. But what I do is I just set mine on the ground and kind of give it a couple love taps on each side until it tightens it up just a bit. and then till it's pretty snug on there. You want to be able to move it ever so slightly, but trying to get it a little bit tighter than that, that will definitely help with play and slop in the hinge area. So once I get this tightened up, I'll slide the pin through there and show you guys what it looks like. All right, so very simple from there. Like I said, just tighten up this hinge a little bit to where it's kind of snug when you go set it on there. Slide the pin up from the bottom, put your little retainer clip in there, and that's pretty much it. As you can see, this thing basically holds up itself. That's how tight it is now. And you can see, I mean, I'm trying to get every little bit of wiggle I can in it, and it doesn't really wiggle all that much. The only wiggle that you're going to get is basically the difference between the OD and the ID on the hinge itself, and there's not really much you can do about that. So I'd say that's pretty good. Great improvement over, well, that. So we'll get this one knocked out, and then we'll prep out the back side of this door and try to get some paint on it. I guess I can pick the camera back up once I get some paint on this thing and show you guys what it looks like. Alright guys, welcome back. We went ahead, we got the doors all scuffed up, cleaned up, got the door hinge bushings situated, replaced all 4 of those. Now we've got them masked up. We're going to shoot a little bit of self-etching primer on these bare metal areas on the hinges. Some other areas have a little bit of surface rust on them. We're going to shoot those, and then we're going to roll right into paint, but I'll show you guys what I'm working with. So we're going to go ahead and put a little bit of etching primer kind of on the back side of these hinges. They're pretty much bare metal, which is why if anybody's probably ever removed some off of their car, they're like solid rust. Luckily these ones are in pretty good shape. There's a couple little like just bare metal spots here and there. I want to go ahead and at least put some etching primer on it. If you had epoxy primer, you could use that as well. Then you could just base coat over that. I actually ran out of epoxy, so we're just going to use etching. I've never done that before, but I don't see why it should be a problem. Well, there's a little bit of, like I said, bare metal on this whole hinge here. These hinges are super tight. The ones over there are pretty tight, but not as tight as these. I mean, these will basically stay up, and they don't even have the roller lock on them. That's how tight these ones are. I made sure that on this set, I made sure to really compress this the actual hinge part itself to make sure that it was nice and tight on these ones. But yeah, that's kind of where we're at with it. Just go ahead and lay some etching primer down on these, and we'll roll right into base coat after that. Try to get some paint on them. Alright guys, we went ahead. We got the doors painted. Well, the back side of the doors painted. I think they turned out pretty good. I'll flip the camera around and show you guys. Alright. So that's the actual door sticker, the original door sticker. I'm guessing the body shop that painted it before, once they painted the doors, they heated it up and then put it back on. I just chose to leave it. I know you can buy them. They're around, I think they're around $80, I think. But again, this is a budget paint job. If somebody wants to replace that sticker later on down the road, it's really easy to just peel off, and then you can put a new one over top of it and it would look good. Not that that looks bad, but everything seemed like it laid out pretty smooth. I mean, it's just the back side of the door, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Basically, as long as it's clean is really kind of what you're looking for. So, be able to wash the car and, wipe the inside of the doors off. That's kind of what you want to go for. Like I sprayed this not even a half hour ago, and this is already kind of almost right out of the touch. I really like this other clear coat that I bought. It's a Matrix clear coat. It sets up really fast. That's why I like to use it on jams and stuff like that, because I don't have to worry about it curing up. So, but yeah, guys, like I said, we're gonna try to get the top side of the doors painted tomorrow, hopefully. As long as everything sets up and cures up nicely overnight, we'll flip the doors back around, block them out, wet sand them, tape them back up again, and paint the top side of the door. So and just keep on moving along painting parts. But anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one.